Okay. We're live, but we're having some camera issues, Mayor. But you can go ahead and start.
Yeah,
and
I'll just say a couple of things. A lot going on in the city right now. I'm going to do my safety promotion. As you can see, there was a Cat 4 hurricane that hit into just to the east and south of Tallahassee. But it shows you just how fast these storms can grow. I mean, within about a 36-hour period, it went from a tropical storm to a Cat 4. And I want to keep reminding people that the waters out there are warmer than they've ever been. I know I've had a little talk here with Glenn. We kind of giggled a little bit about how global warming is affecting it in many different ways, protecting us, not protecting us, protecting us, not protecting us. Doesn't matter. It's the hurricane season goes until December 1st. And I'm expecting, at least just to make sure everybody hears this, is that because waters are so warm, where we normally think October 1st is where the frequency of storms goes down, which traditionally has been. I'm not expecting that this year. I think Mother Nature's got another curveball that they want to send somebody. So just be. There is, and I don't know if it's really going to hit us, but I mean, at the same time, they're still forming. And usually, this time of year, they're starting to go away or really head up the East Coast. So just keep the diligence up. Lot of really great social things happening in the city. There's 3 events tonight. There's the Gulf Coast Film Festival for those who want to take a look at a number of films. I think they get over 50 films that they review. There's their gala tonight where they have a dinner. It's at the Hilton. They usually have a number of people, 100, 150 or so from all over the country. And last year they had contestants from Poland who won the international film portion. So the tentacles of Gulf Coast Film Festival continues to grow. And I think in the post-COVID world now, things are happening where people are really dedicating more to the arts. It's getting bigger. So if you want to take a look and participate and see the screenings, they're in various different conference rooms in the Hilton, and I encourage everybody to go. There's also the Pampered in Pink. So this is something that Aaron Boyd had reminded the people on council that some ladies 25, 30 years ago have really helped establish, help, guidance, support for people in Nassau Bay. These were Nassau Bay citizens that did that for breast cancer. And it has grown to quite an organization, and they have their gala tonight. So for those who want to help support the cancer survivors, cancer strugglers, there is their gala tonight, and I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's at the Flight Museum.
Yes, sir.
Is where it's at. It starts at 6:00. All these start at 6:00. Lastly, there's, believe it or not, at the Lakewood Yacht Club, the Republican women are getting together. Holly Williamson, a favorite of Nassau Bay, has an election this year. So if you'd like to help her out and things along that line, there is a gala at for the Republican women at the Lakewood Yacht Club tonight. So there's a lot going on, and just to keep on that theme, there's you're going to see quite a number of I'm hearing witches tomorrow, starting between 6 and 10. I hear there's a minimum. I think they're sold out at 60. Number of the ladies, which is that are here, have organized to help provide, giving back to the city staff, and they create a fundraiser where through their efforts they provide, snacks, gifts, and just a way to say thank you to city staff. So if you still want to participate, my understanding is they don't have any more openings for the bicycles because they capped it, I think, at 60. Which will be quite a sight between 6 and 10 as they hopscotch around. But there is a process where they said that if you just want to write a thank you note to city staff, they'll take those. And there is, I think Stacy Omdor is the person there. And if I hang on one second, I've got to get my digital going. So her number is 713-261-9151, or you can email at NB as in Nassau Bay, nbneighborsgivingback@gmail.com. Either way, you can do that. So that's going on. And then in October, just to start doing things, Michelle and Michelle Barecki are in the process of doing Halloween in the park for October 19th. So we'll have a number of different events, candies, scary stuff, and things like that for the kids at Nassau Bay in a very controlled way. So that's going to happen on the 19th. Did I leave anything out? So a lot of that's going on. I hope everybody has seen the new palm trees on Nassau Bay Drive. We've put up. Remember, Paul and I have been really focusing on restoring all the trees and all the look from Nassau Bay from years ago and how it used to look. And there's, I think I counted 8 new palm trees. The Mexican fan palms that are what's down there, pretty much more along the southern end. There's a little bit on the northern end, but now you see contiguous palm trees from Nassau Road 1 all the way to Saxony, I believe that is. So take a look there. There's also in this tranche going to be at least 3. I think there may even be 4. We have the palm trees that go towards David Braun Park, that line there. There used to be 3 or 4 trees along the line of Martinique, which are going to go up here probably in the next week and a half. So there's we're getting close to the end game of putting in the things just to have the really nice look that Nassau Bay had, and I'm determined to make sure we finish that off. And I've gotten some good compliments from people that the trees look hardy. They're awfully clipped. No, they're not dead. They've just been put in. But take a look. It looks good. And a lot of the landscaping that's been done by the Garden Club, the Parks and Recreation, and that has really bloomed well. Given all the drought, rain, hurricane, you name it, we've had, they resoundingly have grown very, very well. So I think the city looks really, really good. Also along that, you'll see that the public works guys are putting attention to trimming of the trees as well as the curbs. If you'll notice, there's more curbs that have been replaced, so it gives that newer look. And we're just putting in the infrastructure to make sure we're taking care of the city. We're probably going to have another street sweeping here because, with Beryl and with all the stuff here, we've just now gotten our hands around the mowing and the gardening and all the stuff like that, where it's actually back to normal or pretty daggone close. Yeah. There's a couple of piles of tree limbs that we need to get, but that's in place. And there's right there, the curbs is with either construction or some of the problems that we had. There's been a little bit of dirt in the curb, so we're going to look at how we get that, because some grass is starting to grow there. So we're aware of that, and thank everybody for letting us know. I mentioned again, if there's any questions on the budget, a couple of things of high note is every year we look at really focusing on 1 or 2 things to fix, and this budget cycle. We were very intent on fixing the disparity of pay between our police officers and others in the area. We gave a very significant pay increase across the board to all the officers that are out on the beat. So that's the case. And it's really important to me because I think one of the things that sets our town apart is pretty much everybody knows everybody. And I've heard with some of the turnover, people don't really know our police officers and stuff like that as well as they used to. And I think now we're going to really address any turnover we have, because people that, you know, their families too, they've got to find, and if we were behind in pay and they have to go, shame on us, and that's been fixed. So I think it was about a 9% pay increase, which for our police officers is about a $600-700 a month, or about, you know, $8,000-9,000 a year in pay increase. And that actually not only puts us in line with the survey that we did, but we actually added in a little bit more because we think everybody in the surrounding area is going to go up this year. So we believe we put it in place to be, you know, right at the second quintile. I break things out in payroll like top, second, third, fourth, and fifth. We'll be probably in the middle quintile, so we'll be better than average. You know, we're a small town. We have some benefits other than that, but I'm really pleased we got that behind us. The other is we put together the capital plan. We did a water usage price increase on our large commercial users only. So residents and small businesses will not be impacted by this. We're going to increase funds to be able to make sure we have the capital necessary to really complete our underground infrastructure by, my hope is 26, 27. And we have the funds to do that. A lot of it's going to be just, can we execute and put the steel and concrete, you know, underneath. Just to give you a few numbers, by the end of 2026, we'll probably have about 15, 16 linear miles of underground piping that we can replace in this less than 2 square mile city in the past 4 years, which is, to me, spectacular. We've also got about $500,000 to continue on street repairs, so you'll see people out there doing that, and that's really going to start in earnest with on the water systems up on Nassau Road 1 here by the end of the year. And then for the water distribution, where you see people, you know, put 2 holes in and basically supplying the piping or putting in new, depending, is going to start probably in the January, February timeframe. So all that's been finalized, capitalized, and we're now in the execution point of putting that in. I'm trying to think. Oh, I did National Night Out. God dang it! With all the things going on, there's on October 1st is National Night Out. So again, that's a way in which to meet your police officers, meet the fire department. You know, I hear there's at least 12 spots that people are going on. There's in that 12. There may be even now. I've heard there's other people joining in. Maybe as many as 15 hosts. So get out, meet your neighbors, get out, meet your police officers, get out and meet your fire department. Pete?
So, question for you and Paul. So on the $500,000 for the street repair,
Mm-hmm.
do you have a list already, Paul, of what streets are going to be worked on, and then how much of that budget of the $500,000 that will take, and how that's going to be the calendar of the year?
Yeah. So we've already got a list, and actually your street's on there to evaluate.
Wait a minute. We said we were going to take a concentric circle around Pete's house and just not do anything. So
Yeah, I think we have maybe about 9 areas so far.
Yeah.
And I know Ms.
Has a big
Moncrief
priority.
emailed me this morning.
Correct.
We're going to look at Sea Cove.
Yep.
So I've been asking residents, any areas that are flat that you think is holding water, please let us look at them, and then we'll have a really nice timeline.
Will residents be able to see that list?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah, correct.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep. We'll be putting it on the website.
We haven't prioritized it yet, Pete, but in my mind, if people haven't noticed, my wife and I like to take our grandson around on our golf cart, and we do that pretty regularly because he loves his rides on his golf cart. But that whole area, Nassau Bay Drive, Cape Bahamas, you know, the outer circle area needs some attention. It's probably one of the worst areas that I've seen it, and that it's not bad relative to what, you know, 2-3 years ago, some of our failings. But if we don't get to it, it's going to be even more expensive. So
Yeah, it's one of those things where No, the residents don't really like the inconvenience of the construction and their street torn up, but it's
Boy.
got to be done for the end. Everyone likes a nice paved.
And not only that, once you're done, people look at it, and I'm going to give credit to Public Works and Paul. You know, we and I'll preface this first about the one thing I really believe in transparency in a budget. We are having a small tax increase, you know, for the general fund for property owners. We are you're going to feel a $10 per $100 value in your house. So if you have $100,000 house, you'll see that it's a $10 per year increase that you see. So pretty de minimis. It's a very small. You know, if you're 300,000, it'll be $30 per year. It'll be, you know, if it's $1 million, it'll be, you know, $100. That's how it's worked. So for a figure, that's how it's working. But pardon me.
If it's $1 million house.
So excuse me, it's a penny per $100 value. So that'd be 1%.
Yeah, wouldn't that be 10,000?
No, it'd be 1%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I
So
have you take my coverage?
yeah, sure. But no, that's how it's and that was some of it in the council meeting. It was actually to the city. There's going to be on average about $20 for that 1%, but that has about half of that coming from new property that's going to go up in the city that is not part of what I call Joe and Josephine Nassau Bays coming out of your wallet. You know, we don't pay in tax rates, we pay in tax dollars, and so your tax burden will go up 1%. Okay, which I'm very proud of, but I say that because one of the things we've been trying to do, and if you've noticed, when we tackle a area, we're really not just tackling one small spot. We're really trying to do a whole area so that, you know, it completely fixes a street, you know, problem. It doesn't just fix what's funny. We were fundamentally doing things. So like if you look at Prince William, if you look down on Martinique, if you look down on a number of different areas, rather than taking a 10 by 10 patch, we're really taking out, you know, 100 feet by the whole road and doing that and replacing that all with new concrete with all the curbs. And it really makes the streets look a lot nicer. I'm saying that because that's how we're really keeping your costs down. We've been able to put forward the capital a lot on how we restructure the budget so that we don't have to really demobilize, remobilize, and the projects are bigger, so our economies have come out. So we're going to be, you know, that's why you've not really seen a lot of your tax increase over this time, because we've mustered the capital in a time period that allows us to have a lower cost per linear foot of street repair or linear foot per underground piping, and that directly keeps your taxes down. And with this one here, with this last little bit, we think we'll have this completely, as much as possible, behind us by 2026 and 2027. Which one of the reasons I ran is I really wanted to get this infrastructure repair behind us. And by that time, our backlog of projects after 2026, 2027 will probably only be $1 or $2 million, where this number's been $15, $20 million in the past. And that'll be behind us. And that means we have a choice of really doing creative things, where, like I said, dredging Lake Nassau and raising the marina or something like that. We could get a tax decrease. All I know is we're financially in a really sound place that in the next 2 years, our main infrastructure repairs will be behind us. And that's a place Nassau Bay hasn't been since, I think, the inception of building it. We've been always catching up with, fixing stuff rather than building stuff. And I'm really pleased that we're almost there. And that a lot of that goes to Public Works and city staff for getting it done like that. So that's great.
And the contractors have got smart. They've started charging, and this is most all contractors, $1,500 to $1,800 to mobilize. So if I've got a small street repair, they're going to still hit me with 15 to 18. So if I have a big area, I can negotiate that and sometimes get it waived.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get as much as we can for best bang for our dollars.
And we've been able, and we've really been able to protect the taxpayers of Nassau Bay because we've moved a lot of our capital projects to our water and sewer fund. So flood remediation, all the things with the underground piping. Anytime we fix something for the water, but yet we also fix a street that goes over. You know, we've been able to do that, and very creative, and that's why we've been able to do a lot of work without having to raise the property taxes. I personally believe that for many years we've been subsidizing other areas in the commercial area, and that's just not happening anymore. If anything, they're paying their fair share, and we're seeing the benefits of having money in the city, and I think the city shows. So, trying to think what else in the budget. We're going to be painting the water tower.
Yep.
I've gotten some calls about, you know, the water tower looks great. Well, it's the inside of the water tower that we're painting. It's where the water is, where that causes corrosion. There's a lining in there. To replace that water tower is going to be $2.5–3 million for 500, or I guess it's about $500,000. We're going to be able to refurbish it back to where it needs to be for another 10 years. Yeah. 10
How
years.
old is that water tower now?
72.
It's yeah,
Something.
mid-70s.
Yeah.
So if you say 74, that's 50 years.
What's the life expectancy of a water tower?
If you keep up with it,
Yeah.
it should be, you know, and make sure all your thicknesses and all the things there, you can keep it going. And, you know, it's when you don't do that,
Yeah.
you know, it's, you know, your natural 20, 25 years.
Yeah. We've seen water towers 50, 60 years. Yeah. As long as you maintain them. Yeah.
There's also going to be, what is it? The garden club and parks doing the November sweep.
Yes, the November. That's going to be. It's usually right before Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, right
Correct.
before Thanksgiving, and then we'll have
I think it's the first.
yeah,
They're focusing right
something
there on the first that weekend. So get ready. There's going to be people planting more flowers, and I think they're dedicating more to maintaining it than planting, because the choice that we made of flowers are much more hardy. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but they, you know, this was a hot summer. You know, we got a good amount of rain. We've also had some good amounts where it hasn't been raining. It was 100 degrees, heat index of 115, and our landscaping has held up pretty well. So I'm pleased with that. I know what I forgot. There's also going to be what we believe is the last tranche of medjool palms that we put up on Mass Road 1. So if you look at it, the last piece, and it's one of the big ones, is between Upper Bay to the hospital, just so that we have it from the front end to that point, is you know, going to be the medjools. We also have them at the front by the Hilton, but at that point, after this one, I believe we're going to stop. And that puts us at about 80 trees that we put in over the last 3 years. And there used to be, and because I was back there, I was on council back in 2000. Used to be 147 trees up there. So we're only going to commit to about half. And I also want to remind people we have warranties and guarantees that we pay a premium every year. So if there's ever a freeze or whatever, every one of those trees will get replaced at no cost. So
I have a question about the irrigation for those palm trees by the Hilton.
Uh-huh.
Where did we stand with the box and all that next to our house? Where did we stand with that getting connected? Aren't you putting in irrigation for those palm trees?
Oh, the irrigation's actually already in there.
In there.
It's the electrical. The electricals. Yeah.
So what's left to do?
That should be completed. Let me follow up on that.
yeah, LaFosse, what I understand is that they did.
Our sign,
Uh-huh.
the entrance is not on.
It's not on there?
No.
Yeah. See,
Okay, let me take a look.
That makes sense because this was not for water, I believe. at some point, the Nass Area Management District wants to electrify and light up every palm tree, and they needed to have a access put to that very end to be able to light up those trees.
Oh, okay.
And I believe that box was more electrical oriented than it was
Right,
irrigation oriented,
okay.
which would make sense why it's not on.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
could've-
Let me check on that. That should have been done.
It's
Yeah.
really dark out
Okay. Okay.
there, as we know on the street.
Yeah.
It's dark.
So that brings up the question, how much money have we spent on palm trees and how much are we spending on insurance?
So we spend about $20,000 a year on insurance on it, and if any tree, even the ones that we're putting in, along Nass Road 1 and as well as on the Mexican palm that we just put in, if anyone dies, anything like that, for whatever reason, they'll replace it for free.
Yeah. On the
Paying for the trees.
They're not cheap. They're like $6,000
Yeah,
a tree.
six-
So
yeah.
we'll put in $500,000 of trees when we're done.
So like after Borough, I think we had 5 of the brand new Florida palms fell over on Upper Bay, and they came and stood them up
Yeah.
free. And fertilized them, and they're keeping an eye on them. So
So that's part of the agreement, and this is what I love because it's not on our public works. They know that they got a dog in this hunt. That if those things fall or fail or whatever, that they have to replace it at their cost. So they're out there. If you saw right after Barrel, they were out there like that
Mhm.
next week
Yeah.
and righted everything because they knew if they left them down, they and the bulb exposed that they would die.
So they're doing all the trimming.
They're- yeah.
on Nassau, they're doing all the trim. Matter of fact, they're going to be out next week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
on
that's
Nass
all
Road
free.
1, but not on like
Not on the Florida.
Nassau Bay
side.
Drive.
Yeah,
North
no,
Lookout.
we'll do that.
The
We'll handle
interior of the
that.
city we do out on Nass Road 1.
And that's a hard contract to negotiate. About 3 or 4 other tree farms said there's just no way we could compete with that. So we got a really good deal.
Yeah.
And
Feel like
These also, because people have asked, we spent a lot of time selecting these palms. They are hardy to 14 degrees Fahrenheit for 5 days. That's why this past freeze we didn't lose any palm trees at all because it was only 18 degrees for like 3 days. So they're hardy. It was close, but we thought we went out and found the best temperature resistance because we do get some freezes, and that's why between the guarantee and the selection, we're confident we're not going to be in the same situation we were, where if in today's market to put in 150 trees, it's $1 million, right? $1 million. And we wanted to be able to have the protection so that be on somebody else, and they get directly to their bottom line our premium that we do, but that means that we don't have the risk, like it's insurance, for that.
I have just one question.
Mm-hmm.
Is that insurance policy with an independent or is it through that?
Through the nursery.
yeah,
Good question.
Or business?
Yeah,
They yeah.
Is gone.
it
Yeah.
would be. No.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a really good question, and I agree with you. We looked a little bit at that, but it was very expensive for an insurance company, and the way the palm tree people looked at it, that's how they supplemented their business, and that's how they competed. And these are some pretty big nurseries. They actually grow them in Arizona and stuff like that. It's not like they're just a distributor landscaping. They actually own the trees that they grow.
Right.
So they have that's where we are. But it's a great question. I understand where you're asking too.
Yeah.
You're right. We have that risk.
And actually,
Question.
Yes, sir.
So I noticed the city of Webster, you may have noticed too on Bay Area Boulevard,
Mhm.
that they first time I've seen them add palm trees in like forever.
Yeah.
Is it the same company, do you know?
no,
It's different.
it's different.
You don't know, or it's
No,
different?
no, it's a
No.
different company.
And that you've also seen on Nass Road 1, they put in the Mexican ones. I mean, I personally am very proud that we've made this investment because I think it's a signature look that really, again, I go back to, John Kennedy. I go back to some of the things here. We put together a plan that we really wanted Nassau Bay to reassert itself as the center of Clear Lake, because the Nass Road 1 expansion was going to take us before that happened. And that's why we wanted to have a signature look, just like Uptown does, just like a number of different places. And I believe we succeeded with that with the jewels. I just don't want $1 million of exposure out there.
And that's why we came back when we moved here.
Is it?
The year before Harvey, our realtor took us to Pearland and League City, and then she brought us, and we were like, oh,
Yeah.
What is this? You don't feel like you're in Houston, Texas.
That's exactly right.
And then when we flooded with Harvey, and we had family
Love it.
coming from all these states to come help us.
Yep.
We knew nobody. They were like, this is where you live?
Yep.
And then when we just bought again, I sent a picture of Hardy Cove. And they said, that's in your backyard? And I was like, this is like no place
It's
we've ever seen. And
correct.
and all these people are like, where is this?
Yeah.
And I show them the palms, and it is such a, so it shows why, I know. But it shows why Webster wants to do this.
Correct.
Because it is the best kept secret.
It is.
But it's a beautiful part of what we can do for this area. I just think it's so
How long have you been here?
So we moved to Houston. Well,
No,
we
to
moved
Nassau Bay.
to Nassau Bay the first time, August 10th, because it was my birthday, the year before Harvey.
Okay.
We flooded with Harvey.
So what?
And then we moved to Clear Lake in Pinebrook, bought a house on a hill. And I wouldn't flood again, 4.5 feet of water. And then a house on the other side of the street from where I flooded on West Indies on a hill, a teeny hill, but a hill.
Yeah.
And we bought that in July.
Yeah.
I actually had a call from a resident that said that if I could help whoever owns on Bay Area between El Camino and Space Park, their median.
Yeah.
And they said, can you do something about that? I said, I'm in the wrong. And it's like, can you work with them? So I actually took a ride just to look. I'm like, this would never go.
I told him, the per diem for renting out our city manager. And correct, we got to get our profit oriented. We are capitalists here, so.
But it's just, it says what sets this community apart.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's because of the trees. I mean, it's because of the neighbors and the feel of it.
Just the whole
It's like
feel.
you drive
Correct.
in and you're like, where am I? It's beautiful.
It is.
It's comfortable. I mean,
Yeah.
it's expensive, but like,
But it's
beautiful.
But the other thing I believe too is the more the city takes care of those things, and I'm just going to rip some numbers here. Is in the time frame I've been mayor, we'll have put up 80 Bejeweled palms. We've already pulled almost 7,000 dead plants, believe it or not, and we've put in about 6,000. We still haven't put in everything we've taken out. And a lot of that is the garden club, parks and recreation, public works, depending on where it is. And we're right starting to become in the end game where, because we had deferred this for so long, you had to have a project in order to get it back to where it was, and then we're going to be on maintenance. That's why you see Paul's got the tree trimmers to make sure everything's there. We're kind of raising the umbrella. That's why, you look over at Founders Park. I mean, you gotta love how Founders Parks look. I mean, all the parks. I mean, they're and there's more to come. Big project Jim's push through Parks and Rec is we're gonna have a brand new boat dock right out on where the old one is on the creek side, because that is really just bad, so that you can actually dock your boat, get on there, launch the whole thing. So kayak or whatever, and have access on the creek side, which we haven't. We used to have that years ago. It's if you go there, I look at it as more riprap than it is, a dock. Even though you can see it, you're better off walking the rock than you are the dock.
So can I hitchhike in what you're saying?
Yes.
So I appreciate your saying this is a picture we use for promotion.
Yes.
And it shows, actually what it does, it shows David Braun Park and it features the city and the lagoon and everything you can see on it.
Mhm.
So we're gonna modify this coming up a little bit, so this is not so broad,
Yep.
so that they can see more and kind of move things around a little bit. But this is a beautiful thing where you see the lake, see back here the lagoon, and over here you see Clear Lake. And so we had a paddling event. Usually one of those farm loaded films.
You've given me about 5 of them.
We're a marketing guy.
Yeah.
But we'll have another event coming up in October 26th. And
It's another one. Yeah.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. You gotta clear it out of here. And we'll have another event on the 26th of October. That's where we're bringing veterans from Camp Hope. And hopefully they'll have 26th of Camp Hope or 15th from Camp Hope.
The other thing that we're going to be tackling this year too, again on a flood mitigation. Barrow was actually a really good test for us. It gave us the luxury of not having a lot of damage to be able to see where our previous defenses had been and how they have decayed a little bit. So you're going to see, the city looking at executing where we've taken elevation shots around the places. And I'll give an example because Becky and I live on the same sea cove. There's no question with a project that they put in there to put in a pan with a pump, get stuff out to take the water out. But because of that work, it has now subsided. It's probably subsided a good 1.5 feet. I'm even betting 2 feet. It was probably the largest intrusion of the floodwaters that came up. If we do our berming right, and it's also out around, I'm going to target the areas around the perimeter of David Braun because we had a lot of intrusion at David Braun, which impacted some of the recreation equipment. But we want to go to 6 feet, and wherever we are not at 6 feet, the likelihood of a moderate hurricane, if there is such a statement. I don't ever want to really say that, but like we have with Barrow, I'll say it this way: we should have been able to prevent any of the flooding of our streets with Barrow because it was not a 6-foot surge where we were at, and if we'd had the proper pumps and the proper protection, we would have been able to have all our evacuation routes and everything like that, still unimpeded. And that's the goal we're looking at. That's the goal we have set is we want to reestablish our perimeter of six feet. And we want to make sure we got power at Port Royal. We've just put in a gas, with a generator. We got power at, with a gas turbine pump at Prince William. But we're looking at all the ways we can electrify. We're looking at how we can reestablish that 6-foot perimeter so that we have the ability to fight a storm. And if I get one of my projects approved by FEMA, where we actually can dredge Lake Nassau, where we can pull that down and we upgrade the pumps there that are existing. Upgrading means going from like 220, 240 power to 480 3-phase. So I can put in some serious pumps. We would be able to probably handle a 10, 12-inch rain deluge without flooding in Nassau Bay. And that's where we're trying to go. So
last weekend, Phil, we had I know you know this, but we had a practice event on Lake Nassau. And so nothing really official, to my knowledge, was done on Lake Nassau. We got a bunch of kayaks and vessels out there invited the community come, including the apartment complex. We had a good turnout, relatively good turnout. And we set up a game there in preparation for the upcoming event. So we got the kids go out and paddle, and they could not wait to get on the thing. There's one of the young kids who's trying to go to a scout thing. His mom came up he hates not to go to his hunting, but she said, Jim, Mr. Jim, he wants to get in the water. So we had enough kayaks for him. So the kids got in the water and rubber duckies out at him and little prizes, and the kids loved it.
Yep.
And so did the veterans. I mean, so did the community.
And one other project that's happening, it's right now at the very early stage, but we've got contractors engaged and they're executing. We're reestablishing the boat dock at Founders Park. There'll be no parking in Founders Park. So I hear everybody, we are not allowing parking, but we're opening up that. We're fabricating a concrete launch there. So any non-motorized boats like a canoe, kayak, just like or a sailboat or anything like that, will be able to recreate on Lake Nassau. So that's coming back too.
And
On the street, where it is now, on the street.
So what we did was we launched around the pavilion, and we found out we came back in and going out. The way the bulkhead is set up, there's just rocks there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it got a little tricky getting out of the
Water
water.
tricky. Yep.
Just because there are rocks there and you couldn't put your feet on the ground. So we're gonna come up with a temporary thing for the October for that.
So yeah, we won't have it in by
No,
October.
and it's actually logistically it's so far away from the pavilion. So we tied everything in with the pavilion. So it's it's like a 15-minute walk.
The people can get boats launched from there. We can talk about if we want to do another one, but I mean, right now there's nothing to be able to get out on the creek. There's really nothing to get out on that. So we're trying to reestablish those, and now we'll have 2 this year. So that's good.
Hey Phil, so question. So Barrel, the houses along Nassau Bay Drive and Cow Bayou, right? We got hit pretty hard with water in the yards, flooding of pools. And I know it's not part of Nassau Bay, but Cow Bayou goes under Nassau Road 1.
It does.
Feeds in and winds around Elgin. I've actually kayaked back there.
Yep.
You no longer can kayak because of the vegetation and the sediment.
Which is to your advantage.
Well, no, I think it actually hurts because I think if it was drained through, the water wouldn't get as high.
Okay, yeah. So we're talking. You may be right on that aspect.
So my question is though, is anybody looking at that? It's not
No.
part of Nassau Bay.
So there's this is a two-edged sword, and I know what you're talking about. One of the problems with Cow Bayou is because of all that restriction, the water really starts to end up silting right at Cow Bayou. So that's probably one of the fastest silting areas here over time. If you clear up there, what it'll do is it'll bring a lot more water faster to you. So you won't silt in as fast, but whenever there's an event, you'll have a whole lot more water coming
But the
through.
water comes the other way. It
So
doesn't come from that direction. It comes.
let's go up because I thought from what I saw, it came down through there, and you would just get more water in the place. I mean, that's one reason why if you look at the constriction for the boat launch underneath Egret Bay as it approaches there, that's actually an orifice. The Army Corps of Engineers and other things would love to straighten that out, and I have told them no way in more extreme language than that, because that protects us. That really keeps water from coming into us. And the way in which they have the area where that boat launch is, it's a necking that's gone in underneath Egret Bay, going over 270. And they all of them because there's a huge drive to keep get water from Houston to Galveston Bay and Clear Lake. And I've made it a very big. I've been at every one of those flood district meetings. Everyone, what I'm talking about, and they're straightening it out. The project that just was done is done more to do retention ponds and stuff like that, straightening out stuff that will actually mitigate or reduce the amount of water coming our way. It's the next phase I'm really worried about, because that means all the water that they're up there, they want to make it streamlined, and it comes right to us. And we are at the mouth of the Clear Creek and where the Galveston Bay tidal water come together. So If they bring more water this way, we got time. It goes like that where we are. We are the battleground. And I have made sure that they understand that there will be a lawsuit if they do not do a no rise certification.
What is
So
that mean?
I've been plugged in.
So what Mayor Washington said that when the water came down from the creek, and then a hurricane came in, and the water on the west side of that way, Albio was about 2 feet higher than where you live.
Mm-hmm.
That's because the water coming down from the creek goes up against those homes and starts backing up, right?
It depends on what type of storm, where it's coming from, right? Like Ike and Harvey were two very different storms, right? One had a tidal surge coming from Galveston Bay. The other one had a very small tidal surge. We had this 52 inches of rain coming down, so it came from the different directions. So it just depends on which one you're talking about. So, and again, once you hit 6 feet, if there's a storm that's going to be from doing that, we got bigger problems. So that's where we give up the ghost.
Well, and you mentioned about the FEMA grant.
Yeah.
Somebody's working on that?
Absolutely.
Okay, I
So-
just didn't know. Like,
So yeah, so we've got actually 3 FEMA grants that are there, and in order to dovetail with their efforts, we do engineering studies sponsored by the FEMA, and the 3 projects are to dredge Lake Nassau and put 480 volt 3-phase power and upgrade that pumping station, because again, you hear me talk about this. 1 inch of rain in Nassau Bay, about 90% of any water that hits Nassau Bay ends up in Lake Nassau. So if you get a 1 inch rain, you're going to put 3-4 inches of headwater on that, and it's so shallow he can only drain it beforehand about a foot, maybe 18 inches. So we're talking we can only fight a 3-4 inch rain, and you get that's good for one deluge or things like that. But if you got a tropical storm that puts 9, 10, 12, 15 inches of rain, we're done. We just can't. So we want to be able to take it down like maybe 12 feet. That way we can move, not only can it really make that lake a recreational lake, but it means he'd be able to pull it down 4 feet. And that means we'd be able to really handle a 1 foot rain, a 12-inch rain, just as a retention pond. And if I have 480 power 3-phase pump system working there, rather than doing 3,000 gallons per minute, I'm going to do 20,000 gallons a minute. And I believe I'll be able to fight, or we will be able to fight a 15-inch rain if we can, which would be just very different for our city. And that's what I mean. We're getting out of the fix it. We're getting in a build it mode here very short.
And it's really shallow. So if I drop that lake 12 inches and rain don't come in, we'll have a fish kill.
You will.
And it's like a
And the algae
3
bloom.
3 months to recover from that. It's just
So,
nasty.
Yeah,
So
people paddling around there really enjoy it.
Yeah.
A very slim board. When you got any fellow got that on, you know, really beautiful board lives here in Nassau Bay. But people really enjoy getting around that lake.
yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. I had a vendor that reached out to me, and I brought it to the Parks Committee last year, and I'll probably bring it back this year. But there's a vendor now that they rent canoes, kayaks, and they're in these bins, and it's either a 2 bin or 4 bin, and it's all an app on your phone. The canoe's GPS, so you can have it in the lake. You can take it to
So
the creek. You could take it to Galveston. You're just going to pay for the time that you have it, and then once you put it back, closes, it sends a verification.
So
It's-
that would be, you suggest you would put something like that around the pavilion or something?
It's wherever we want to put it. It's he said, think of a huge propane container like at Home Depot, and he said then they actually it's upfront cost, but then they'll start giving after I think 2 years we own it, and then we start getting some money actually back from it. So it's a pretty interesting concept. Yeah, so it's pretty.
The other project, other than that, is I'd love to run 480 volt 3-phase power all up all up Upper Bay Road. It costs about $1,000 a linear foot in order to put that in. we don't have that kind of money right now. We may in 4 years or so. We're trying to get that as a means to be able to upgrade all the pumping stations along the Prince William, Port Royal, Sea Cove, and Martinique right through there. And if we do that, that means we'll be rather than 3,000 gallons per minute per pump, we can do. We're even looking at saying, should we integrate all of them and put a really big one in? But the key is, and we learned again, we revalidated it with Beryl, is, our biggest problem is power outage. Once we, it doesn't matter what kind of electricity, if we can't get it, the key point for running the 483 phase would be we tie it into our big honking generator at the water plant, so that when power goes down, we flip the switch that we use to protect the water plant, and we use that to electrify all the way up Upper Bay Road. And we do it all underground, all encased, so that we don't have trees falling over it or anything like that. And we would not lose power. And if we don't lose power, we can do a whole heck of a lot more fighting, a storm. Otherwise, we have to give up the ghost.
So going back to Pete's question back here, I remember Mayor Matter working on cleaning out that bio. That was quite a number of years ago. And he said it was a real struggle. You think dredge Kyle bio?
Yeah, correct. I was part of that, but it's just he was the one who led that.
Yeah,
He's the one who
that was a real project, wasn't it?
It was, and basically there's another effort that's being started by the folks in League City around South Shore Harbor, because they know from the mouth of Bear Creek as you head up to South Shore, there's real silting in that's taking place there, and also for thermometer point, as I like to call it, what is that called? What's that whole thermometer? That comes back there. Constitution Point.
Oh, Constellation.
Constellation
yes.
Point.
Yeah.
Constellation Point. All that they're looking at wanting to dredge. They've asked if we wanted in on some of this action. So we're talking with them. It's very preliminary, but what Don Matter did back then was the city would do what they call the highways, and the neighbors, anybody who's a citizen, could do the driveways. So we would dredge Cal Bayou, or we would dredge out in front of the peninsula or anything. But if you wanted your little alcove area, if you wanted, your boat dock in front of there, you would pay for your driveway to get onto the highway, is the way it was explained.
So I just bring up another point. So part of the Dead Boat Society, so there's over 100 boats there, some clearly, all sorts of different places. Some of them sunk inside South Shore Harbor, but there's at least 100 we identified. And after the barrel, somebody reached out on the Dead Boat Society. It's free to anybody who will look at it. And I know that somebody said there was sunken object on the peninsula. They actually said there's an article, but it's on.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, we got it 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
A huge pier. Yeah, it was a huge pier.
Correct.
Yeah, they notified the chief, and so the next day, boom, and
Yeah.
And yes, for dead boats, even though they're there, we know about the boats that are out there on the creek. We're Paul and I are going back and forth as to, the GLO says they've got some interest there. When I look at the law, it says we got first seat. So we just want to.
You gonna come to a meeting?
I'd be happy to come to a meeting. You know me, because that's where you learn shit. So pardon my French. Sorry. Did I just say that?
We had no sleep.
No. We learned stuff.
We haven't had much sleep this week.
We haven't.
So I got up at the last meeting.
I'm sorry.
Last meeting we had a meeting where they go to different places in that meeting. And I ended up in a minute out from there. And that's what they had 5 miles of water. Most people do not know that.
We do very much.
And so a lot of those boats are really ending up real close to us right now. There's 3 sitting on the League City.
That's what I was going to say. We're very aware of those 3.
Yeah,
And we're looking at who's got real jurisdictions, because if GLO has restrictions, man, they're slow. If we have jurisdiction, I just want to take
They are slow.
And I'm thinking I'd rather ask forgiveness than permission.
They are slow.
So
So where are we on, the pump on Upper Bay Road?
I'm sorry to say that again,
The
Becky.
pump on Upper Bay Road that's gonna go in at the end of.
Right.
Oh, it's
We already have
it's
one there.
yeah.
But it's not. But it's
We deploy it.
So let me make sure I ask your question again.
Like Clayton's house on Upper Bay Road at the end?
Yeah.
You mean right? Yeah, we
At the boardwalk?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. That's done.
the gas turbine. I'm not so sure you're talking about the same spot.
I think it's got to be deployed.
So we have to if you look there. So now I got it.
Okay, yeah.
If you look at right there across from the doctor.
Yeah, Dr. Sinhas.
Sinhas.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
You'll see now on the boardwalk there is a bin where we keep things. So when you have a deluge, guys from Public Works will come out and they have to start that. That's a gas turbine. You know, you got it.
Yeah.
Just
Actually, it's electric start.
you're right. It is, but it's a gas. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Is you got to manually turn it on. It doesn't have an auto turn on.
Okay.
And
I was envisioning a big.
no, it's actually the big stuff's underneath the ground.
Okay.
Everything's underneath the ground. The big, I mean, they're 8-inch pipes that are underneath there for that.
And there's like 2 hydraulic quick connects. And so the guys just roll it on there, open the box, 2
So
quick
it's-
connects started,
so
and they're gone.
That's actually hydraulic.
Yes, ma'am.
It's gasoline powered, and it's hydraulically driven under the ground.
It's massive.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
correct.
massive
I was
underground.
expecting
Yeah.
to see a big
No,
one.
We did it in the weekend when you were sleeping.
No.
yeah. So
The thing is, what's going on with the finger piers that are right there? Who
not
owns-
enough.
Well, who owns them? Or-
The HOA owns them.
HOA.
Yes, ma'am.
Their responsibility.
It's there.
And you know, they get well used sometimes to your, particularly during the Christmas boat parade. Because a lot of the boaters come over there, but also a lot of enforcement comes up there just before the parade and tie up. And if the boats leave Nassau Bay, you know, the parade, that's when the safety does.
Yeah, well, I would say it this way: is people are scared of those finger piers, so they come to the ends of the cul-de-sacs to be able to try to launch from there because those things are rickety. I've had a number of people complain, and I've had to intervene with boaters who are pretty rude because they don't want to use those finger piers.
And
So, the
those finger piers are very dangerous to launch a kayak out
Yeah,
because
High.
it's
They
not a floating dock. Well,
Yes,
it depends
correct.
on the tide.
correct.
And so and
I used to launch there, and then it was too dangerous. I couldn't do it. Yeah.
So the HOA needs to decide to either repair them or they get rid of them.
Correct.
They're usually really good about repairing because they usually get
Yeah.
insurance money from them.
Yep. But yeah, there's that. And what else was I going to say?
So I'm gonna go back to another question about the Dead Boat Society. I would like them to come and just, can they come to the city council and just talk for 3 minutes about what's going on with the Dead Boat Society?
Yeah, I would actually think it would be even better if you set a time for Paul and I to sit down with him
Well, sure.
because
We
you
have
know
meetings on a regular basis.
Yeah.
We'll find out the next meeting. Love to have you there.
because a lot of that's funding, right? I mean, at the end of the day,
Oh, it is.
it's all how do we get more funds?
The last time I
boats.
was at a meeting, the city of Seabrook was there, all their representatives, and somebody from the sheriff's department, Galveston County, general land office, somebody from Galveston County. The city of Seabrook spent over $15,000 getting the boat removed.
Yeah.
I gave them a quote to
Wow.
$12,000,
That city of Seabrook,
but it
not the GLO.
turned out to be, yeah.
It's 15,000.
15,000.
Big boat though. That was a big boat.
It was a sailboat, so it made it odd.
Yeah, correct.
You get the mast, you get
Yeah,
the
that was,
keel, but they spent 15 grand.
it's like a 40-foot boat.
Big
42
crane
foot.
moving it out.
That's what I remember. It was a 42-foot boat. Big boat. It was in bad shape too.
It was.
Yeah, so it fell apart. Yeah. Yes.
Question. Where the boat ramp is where people can launch on Upper Bay, is that open to everybody or just to residents?
Right. Well, it's a homeowners association. It's in a public area, so public people do it. It's pretty tough to secure it, but it should be for the homeowners.
Okay, see, my question is this. If the public is coming in and using that facility, could we use hotel money to help the HOA
So
to repair?
there's 2 problems, and I think it's a great idea. That doesn't put heads in beds, which is what is now the real criteria that we've had in regards to anything we do using hotel motel. They want to know how does that put at least even one person extra into the hotel? The heads and beds, right? The other is we as a city are we're a municipality and the HOA is a private organization. For us to send our tax fund, whether it's a sales tax or hotel, to an HOA, which is outside the jurisdiction of the city, has legal challenges too.
Then how could we, so we use tax money to help, Bell Harbor?
We used Economic Development Corporation money.
Okay.
Which is different. We could. We absolutely. And looking into it, because I've actually challenged the homeowners associations. And again, I take a very different perspective than I think in that whether you get homeowners fees, whether you do Nassau Bay taxes, or whether we do, it's all coming from the same wallet, right? And if we've done some things to be able to help where we've got a problem, whether it's a pier there, or if something's sunken in the marina, or if we've got safety issues at a business that's like, the marina is a business. They do that. So we're actually helping them be self-sufficient by putting these up. The Economic Development Corporation does not, because it's a separate corporation. It's not a municipality.
No.
They don't have the restrictions that the city does.
Right.
So that is a venue by which we could help, just because that's how we did it for the Bell Harbor one. So
we came in
and
last,
Megan's aware of that. So
last October, we came and did a lot of this. We came down. And one of the guys that led only 4 or 5 people came down. This year, there probably 15. One of the guys said, "Wow, I didn't realize this was back here. I love this place." And he was, lived up in Willis or someplace. He said, "If I had known this, I would have moved down here." Because they loved what they saw behind Nassau Bay. You can't tell by the commercial district that we're a waterfront community.
yeah, correct.
Best kept secret.
It is. Yes. Yes. Good. Well, you go ahead. You got it first.
Okay, well, I'm back on the electricity thing. The lights on Nassau Parkway
Mhm.
that don't light up.
Yeah.
What?
They're transitioning that to the white LED, and so I've been in communication with
They
them.
did that.
Huh?
Well, they've already replaced the burnt out lights with the white LEDs, but I mean, none of
There's
them
no
works.
power, is what you're
There's
saying.
Nothing works out there.
Okay, let me. Yeah, it's daisy chain. I hate that system. It's
Well, that
daisy
curve,
chain. Yeah.
You know, if you're coming east on Nassau Parkway, you get down by Valhalla, you can't see
This is
that
not the
curve.
first time
Yeah.
this has come
Except
up.
for the Hilton,
Yeah.
you wouldn't even know the road.
Yeah.
changed.
I mean,
That's why
it's-
we have those.
They are
Yeah.
illustrious, high performing electricity provider, CenterPoint.
Yes. Speaking of which, this morning, actually, we had another one of those glitches in
Yeah.
our power.
So
In Bell Harbor.
yeah, so
Did
yeah,
not.
so I'm actually working with CenterPoint right now because we had 5 glitches yesterday at the Public Works building. Last week we had 3 here. So we're sending them. I'm working with the engineer with them, and I think they're going to put some kind of monitoring device. I'm trying to get it around the city to see what's going. So it's
a
a
modern
constant.
device to see if we're telling the truth. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, guys. You gotta have fun with it, right? You gotta have, yeah.
Then we get that.
Then you get
power
the
coming
backup.
in, and all of a sudden your computer-
Yeah.
You're still not
Barbara?
gonna believe it. They're gonna be like, "There's a failure."
Pardon me? Yeah, that's is that the 16th? When is good? Hang on a second. There's just a lot going on, folks. And I love it. I love it. So, well, it's not in the
Fire. I'm pulling up.
It's in October. I can think it's like the maybe the 11th or that weekend. Text home. So we just said it over here, and I won't see it in the minutes in here.
I think Chief Cromie talked, or,
I was going to look at a calendar.
we were talking about it.
Let me ask
He
Tom
did.
real quick.
He did.
And Phil, while you're looking for that, can I make a comment?
Sure.
So I was driving yesterday with my wife, and we were admiring, thank you very much, the 8 or 9 brand new palm trees on Nassau Bay Drive.
They are.
I texted the mayor and said thank you for that, and then we made a turn from Nassau Bay Drive out on Nassau Road 1, and we were driving by and we're looking at the nice trees in the median, and then we come up to Luby's, and because the traffic was backing up because of a red light at Point Lookout, so we're right in front of Luby's, which is all boarded up, right? It looks terrible. It looks like a building on Telephone Road. And then to compound that, the grass is overgrown and not taken
We
care of.
cited them for that. Yep.
Okay. So just, is there an EDC, anybody yourself, is there a plan with Luby's now, which is?
That's a high interest point right now. And that's all I can say. That's all I can say. Give me about 2 weeks. I mean, it's that short. It'll be either up or down.
Mayor Johnson, kind of piggyback on that. How about that gas station?
Star
Any
Point?
updates? Pardon me?
No,
Which
I think
one?
Shell.
The
Some
Shell.
Shell.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
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 Oh, right there, our illustrious former parking lot.
It's just such a nice one too. Any updates on?
Yeah, they, on the council meeting in September, we passed the first reading to incorporate
Pocket park.
well, no, not right there in the corner.
It's
But
gonna be dialysis.
It's going to be a dialysis center. So, but then it's going to be so let me go to the base. They're knocking the whole thing down. It is going to be what I call, back to brown space, where they're going to flatten it, everything like that, and they're going to start over. And they're putting in a 2-story building where on the bottom they're targeting what they said was maybe like a flower shop or something like that. And on the top is going to be a dialysis center. And the parking will be underneath there rather than around. I mean, you can, but it'll be underneath. And it'll be a modern. They've already given us renditions. It looks really nice. And they also committed to be contiguous with the because they're going to be part of what we call the PUD. It's a planned urban development. We actually created a PUD back in 2000. I think it was 2008, somewhere around there. And it means you have to abide by certain restrictions, as well as it loosens some of the restrictions. But one of it is landscaping that would be contiguous. So you really look at that. I believe the history with Arafat that was there, some big plants were put in there to kind of block it. That is completely different than the architectural plan for Nassau Road 1. So they're saying they'll move to that area and that'll all be redone. So a brand new building's going there. Brand new building.
No, that's right. Thank you.
So yeah, it is, and that's going to be good. And some people were concerned that was the setbacks going to be like the Moody's, building, and it is not. We held it up in order to be able to walk it. And if you look at the distance of where the old bank is on Upper Bay Road, right there by Space Park and that, the frontage of this building is exactly in line with that. So it'll be that type of setback, which will be great. So okay. Yep.
No date on the fire station?
October 11th.
Oh, so that's what that was for.
Yeah.
Just said fire. Yeah, so October 11th, Barbara. So for everybody here listening, everybody here, the open house for the fire department, where you bring your kids. They usually do a great spread with food, drink, whatever. That's
a Friday.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I thought it was a Friday, October 11th, which is basically 2 weeks from today.
Always a good time and the kids love it.
So they'll love that.
Yeah, always a good time. The kids love it. We get well fed. It's a great community effort.
So I've got to I got to do something personal here. Is I think some people saw that I posted that our granddaughter Caroline, who was our micro preemie, who was born 1 pound 15 ounces for her group, got first place for like baby of the year. And there's now another one, so you'll probably see another post. So anybody's out there who wants to help out our little girl, our little granddaughter, but she won the first round. And
What do you mean help out? Vote?
yeah, you got to vote online. So this is how I forget there's I don't know if it's good housekeeping or whatever. They're doing it. They do a promotion, and she won her group. First group is about 15, and so now the winners of the groups will compete for the final winner.
Oh,
So what does she weigh now?
She's last I heard she was 16 pounds. I'd be happy to show people pictures. She's a darling little girl,
of course.
and she's what we consider our miracle baby, because I think the prayers of this community. I'm humbled by how many people were helping us in thoughts and prayers. I kid you not. We're humbled, and it doesn't look like there's any damage, any health issues. There's the last thing is, we won't know until later. Is just, her lungs going to fully develop, and they just this week we had two things that my son, who ruptured the two, basically blew out both his knees, got his return to work. We're taking him back to Corpus Christi this weekend, and the 1 year outage for quarantine because of her immune system, Caroline, has been lifted, so now she can travel. So you'll be seeing a second Johnson grandchild in and around that all day.
So you'll be having her in the golf cart before long.
Correct.
Hey, Phil, we got time for one question.
Sure.
I know we're running over. You want one more for Paul?
Yeah.
So it's kind of dealing with this with Hurricane Helene right now in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So
The barrier islands, Siesta Key, St. Armands, Lido, they had the water. The city made the determination to shut the water off.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got thinking, I'm like, oh my God, can you imagine? You don't have power, then you don't have water. I'm thinking my 25 years in Nassau Bay, I think I remember I don't think we had a problem in 2008.
Yes, we did.
Did we shut the water?
Yeah, absolutely, we did. It came. We hardened it so it probably wouldn't be here, but we had to shut the plant down, and it breached the clarifier on that, so that I believe and it contaminated our water system.
do you remember how many days we were like? What happened? We were not allowed because I thought
So
in Hardy
it was.
we were asked
I'd have to go back and look, but it was at least 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks.
Yeah, you have to have 3 consecutive samples come back good in the water system. So it's like you're testing probably 50 samples a day for 3 consecutive. And so what they do in the water system,
Sanitary side, not the potable water side.
what they do to do that, Pete, is they say we're fixing to get hard. Let's go and shut everything down. Let's hold our capacity. So when we get the city ramped back up, we'll at least have that water capacity to go up. And then you start boiling water.
And just so you know, that was for sanitary, not for potable water, because we do not make potable water here. The Southeast Water Purification Plant is much higher in its location, was not jeopardized.
So, and I remember during Harvey when we had our 55 inches of rain, I remember the city asked us, not to shower,
Right.
out,
Right.
Correct.
not
Yeah.
to flush toilets.
That's the sewer side.
Yep. So
Yep.
I thought that was great. So now that Helene is affecting the property I have in Florida, but I'm thinking in Nassau Bay, what kind of storm how bad of a storm would we have to have for us to shut down? Would we voluntarily shut down?
That's so. What I mean,
We've got a great generator backup system. We got 2 backup wells on the system. It would have to be really bad. I mean, we'd have to have hydrants hit. loss of even if we lost the water from the southeast plant, we still have enough well water capacity to keep the city going.
Correct.
It for us to
We
lose the
used to.
system.
We used
yeah.
to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
we were a city.
I don't see
with
that
our own
happen.
well water before the flood district said no more drilling of wells, because that was what was creating the subsidence.
So in Sarasota, Florida, they made this decision before the storm Helene even hit.
Mhm.
They determined they were shutting the water off preventative. So it's
Yeah.
like, I'm like, my goodness, it's bad enough you lose power,
Mhm.
right? And then your property, and then you have the water. Too. It's
We've got our hurricane response. They hang out. with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
water.
we ride it out.
So there's a crew that has a hurricane response team that is in the water plant, and if the level of the water gets to where we know it's going to get, they proactively take it down.
Is that team also part?
We're not going to run it when it gets intrusion.
So Paul, would your team also get taken care of by like the firehouse and Rod Allen, who makes 3 meals for them? Does your team get that too?
Yes, so we're housed at the public works side, but then we have daily meetings, and then Rod cooks for us, and then we're between public works building and the fire department, it's a constant. We work together with Tom and everything. Yeah, so but we ride it out. We ride it out.
Talking about cooking, so we're coming up to this event October 26th. I'm looking for a local cooking team. I'd like to spend.
What kind of food do you want to have?
You know, anything we have. Last week, Holy Smokers before us.
Yeah.
We had hot dogs and hamburgers.
But I mean, it depends on who. But like Mediterranean does.
Well, yeah, and we had them cater too, but I just like to do something.
Yeah, I'm just saying you can do that. Chick-fil-A does it. You know, McDonald's will do it.
But I like to have brisket. But there's no big
Yeah.
Like I said, what do you want?
I'm trying to get Public Works have a cooking team.
We had a cooking team for the Public Works Week. We cooked against 37 other cities, but
You do have a team.
well, it's Sebastian.
Yeah.
Sebastian and the guys. Now, one of the Public Works guys actually does cook in competitions.
Yeah, but it's
Sebastian,
not a team.
but it's not a Nassau Bay
I think
team.
the Nassau Bay team has 1 year of consecutive.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah,
One
we
year.
don't.
So not really qualified as a team.
No, not really. Yeah. We tried.
So I reached out to all the churches and see if they could help us out do something. A lot of churches do cooking. But October is such a busy month. They're all doing
Yes.
fundraisers.
Yeah.
Right.
Glory Day's got one going on. It's just a busy month.
And again, I just want to, maybe this is a good closeout. We finalized the budget and did the last, municipal vote for our budget. So we are all set for, come October 1, we have our budget in place, and it's all good.
What do we meet? 7 weweeks, I think it took us. 7
So,
weeks,
yeah,
every week.
which is actually less than a while ago, because I can't stress enough and I got to give council credit is, we really changed how we are getting funds to be able to put in capital projects, which is really offloaded the general fund. And we finally have people like Chick-fil-A, the apartments, Methodist, Moody's, things like that, which are nonprofit and take advantage of being in this nice little town we call Nassau Bay. But they really did not contribute to the financial wherewithal to keep the city going. And we purposely, our strategy was to raise those water rates because that makes everybody have the fair share of the burden necessary to maintain the city to keep it like it is. And that has really offloaded the general fund, and it has created quite a bit of cash to be able to just be able to finally fix everything.
So last weekend we had that cooking event when the Holy Smokers came over. We had plenty of food left over. So I took and delivered it all to the Sapphire. Cases of water, chips, food.
How long did it last?
They said they were going to have a pool party that night.
I was going to say, I bet it didn't last 24 hours.
They were gonna have a pool party that night. So I said, make
Good
sure
for
you know
you.
this is coming from the city of Nassau Bay.
Yep.
And they did.
And what else I was going to say? We're that just brings up if people want to know, maybe I'll talk if people are interested. I mean, we're still making sure we're making sure the people in the Sapphire and soon to be the Bay House are not having to worry about public health issues. So it's we've got a lot of effort that is swamping this man's time and mine. But we're not letting go of a standard which everybody should be safe. And just we've spent about $20,000 of y'all's money so far too. So just be aware of that. So we're right now we've notified them of their default. They've argued that we slowed them down in the beginning with permits. So we just said okay. Next week we're not none of your dates are there. So it means next week you should be in compliance. We're gonna expect next week. All right, we're not trying. We don't want to have any ambiguity of what dates are and stuff like that. If they question that, we're just saying okay. Then this date will be next week. So, oh yeah, but they don't. We're definitely we're going to put them in. If they're in default of contract, we get Well, she's going to have to pay some money here. I mean, she's now the contractor. I don't know if you know that she is so she can't hide. She's either got to perform, or as a contractor, she's going to be forced to perform. Or we're gonna say they're know the big job. I know. For people who don't know, that's Jim Irwin's house. He was, and you may know this better than I do, but the sixth man on the moon, fifth man on the moon, he's a moonwalker. He was a moonwalker, and so the history for him. And the history is a great part of this city, which is why we've kind of bent over backwards. Because if it comes to worst, I'm prepared to do this. The neighbor, we sat down and talked about it. If we can fix it, we'd rather do that. But if we have to knock it down,
This was the original
home. Yeah.
This is where he had his residence.
That's right.
Meeting the 5 million.
Correct.
And they can't use the house. She destroyed that right after she moved in.
Yeah, it's terrible.
No maintenance.
Yeah, like not only no maintenance, because there were some serious water issues. The structural part of the roof was compromised. I don't want to say in jeopardy. It was compromised.
Oh, yes.
We had to pull their occupancy permit because of that. So, yeah, but that's real life. So we noticed them that they're in default. We're going to take legal action, and they came back and said, no, your start date's wrong. So Paul suggested we just move it to the point where there's no contesting. So it's only 2-week difference. So okay, we're inspecting next week, and they have a certain thing that has to be done. So that's what we're doing. But that's where we are.
Jim Irwin was the pilot for Apollo 15, the 4th human lunar landing. He was the 8th person to walk on the moon.
Yeah, thank you. So I knew it was in that area, so I wasn't sure. So he's the 4th lunar module that landed, but the 8th walker.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean that's
That's important.
That's important. I don't want to lose that history. And I what I can't understand is how an astronaut herself would be putting such a historic place in jeopardy. I mean, I would think the peer pressure within the NASA community would be enough to be able to say, come on, either sell it to somebody who's going to maintain it or fix it. Anyway, I'm probably going to hear about that comment because they watch. So. Yeah, so it is. I mean, literally, an astronaut is letting the 4th lunar module lander and 8th walker the moon house be vacant and a safety issue within a community.
lot of the others that have done significant things.
I'm going to say this for the neighbors there, and because when we sat down there was great patience, and God, you guys have been patient. But there's also just, that history is important, and they want to preserve that history. But at the end of the day, it becomes it's what's the intent? None.
As far as.
And we've knocked down other houses, and
It's not easy, because I know one of them took almost 3 years.
So
And it was done very quietly.
anyways, thank you for bringing that up. That's where it's at.
Thank you, because I missed, I was cruising the kid.
That's all I have.
All right, that's all I got. Anything else?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. All righty.